So, hi again to another podcast for the Art of Graceful Change. My name is Heidi, and I am looking after Elena, wonderful spas and wellness facilities across the Maldives and India, and expanding globally. So, I'm absolutely blessed and privileged today to do yet another podcast with another beautiful lady that I've known for quite some time now, Radhika from Bear Bar.
Thank you
Good
so much, Heidi, for
morning.
the introduction.
It's so lovely to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
So, really, just another chat about ladies working in business, going through the stages of our lives, what I call the art of graceful change. It's not that dirty word about menopause, but just about how we're navigating business, our success, looking after our families, and obviously navigating through all the changes that we're experiencing as well. So, that's really just a general chit chat. But first of all, tell us a little bit more about you.
Okay, so you've introduced me. I'm Radhika, the founder of the Bear Bar and Clean Beauty, where we have our in-house brand, which is the Bear Bar, and we also white label and manufacture for people such as you. And that arm of the business is called Clean Beauty. I actually come from Jaipur, which is the capital of Rajasthan, but a smaller town as compared to Bangalore would be. And I came from a very simple family, and I was raised in Jaipur, post which, of course, I've shifted many cities within Rajasthan, and then on to Bombay, and then Bangalore. And life's been a good journey. I mean, I have no complaints. But yeah.
Beautiful. So, how old is Bear Bar Clean Beauty now? How old's the company?
So it's about 4.5 years old. We started towards the end of COVID.
Right.
It was initially a homegrown brand, and now it's gradually sort of spreading its wings. Yeah, so it's about 4.5 years old.
So, how'd you get started? Like, what was because it's not your background, right? You don't come from spa or wellness. So what was the thought process behind it?
The background really was, like I mentioned, I grew up in Jaipur in a much smaller city with my grandparents. So life then was really very simple. We sort of indulged a lot in hyperlocal fruits, could be bear and falsas, like very, everything was very local, very simplistic. Skincare for us also at that point of time was just off the kitchen shelves. There were no really heavy duty rituals. Everything was very simple, very grounded, and just we knew very little at that point of time, and it was all very simple and holistic. And growing from that background, as life moved forward, I realized that with time, rituals, skincare, just life, everything, became very, very complex. We'd moved and drifted far away from that simplicity.
Yeah.
Even when you pick up a skincare, any brand you pick up, it was just laden with too many ingredients, too many claims. I just felt that simplicity was just lost somewhere. And Bear Bar was my way of bringing that simplicity and that purity back to life. Yes, in a much more contemporary, design forward way, but yes, that is what it was.
I love it, and we love the products. We love working with you guys, and it's that passion behind and the genuineness behind the whole brand, I think, which is, like you say, you know me, I'm all about simplicity.
Yes.
Let's not make it complicated when it's
Absolutely.
not necessary. So this, I think, is why there was such a great connect from the very early stages.
I agree.
It was amazing. So you've formed this company at a time in your life where actually the kids are older, you should be able to kick back a bit, right?
Yes.
But you decided, no, stepping into this. So what was that, where did that drive come from? Instead of saying, now I'm going to kick back, you've gone full steam ahead into something probably for us women at our age, some of the most difficult times that we're navigating, right?
Yes.
So what gave you that drive?
So I think it was always there in my heart, but COVID obviously sort of brought back the thought of sort of being conscious of what was happening around you, what were you consuming, and stuff like that. And during COVID is when I sort of thought that it hit me really hard that what is it that we're consuming, what is it we are applying. All of that didn't make sense to me, and I just wanted to it just was hitting me very hard. I went through COVID myself, and I became more conscious of my consumption and what I wanted to even sort of convey to the people. So Beba was my way of sort of bringing my ritual back to life.
Okay.
And during COVID, I was actually working with art before this, and life came to a standstill, and I was like, what next? And then I realized that this was my really really passion behind my head. I just wanted to sort of put it across to the audience, and I started really small. It was actually something that I started at home during COVID.
Yeah.
And from there, obviously, I mean, we did receive a good response, and then obviously kids were also growing up and at college, so I just thought it was a good time to sort of focus on something that was more meaningful to life. So I wanted to sort of highlight on what I thought was more conscious, more clean, more simplistic and more grounded, and what was also the need of the hour at that point of time.
And so, like, when you were formulating the products, like, you had yourself in mind of what you need, or like was a lot of the inspiration come from
that too, yes, because obviously now when I sort of it was a time when I realized that gradually we've drifted away from what I've really grown up with. I've really drifted away from my core. And I was always the type of a person that I wanted to do things which were like clean. That was simple, that I could understand.
Yeah.
So this was a time when I sort of wanted to bring back that clean skincare or food or whatever back to my life. And when I was sort of doing it for myself, I thought this was also a good time for me to sort of highlight it to the world. And so at that point of time, that really drove me hard, that I must sort of try at least. And from there came the Beba.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'll ask you a little bit more about the products in a minute, but what I'm really interested to know then, so you're going through all of this, expanding a company, and obviously there's a lot of changes as a woman going on in this stage of our lives as well.
100%.
So what have been the main kind of challenges and symptoms that you've experienced in, like, perimenopause and all those kind of, and even just this stage of our life that our body is changing and the health is, like, I don't know, I can't even explain it. Like, I wake up with some pain someday and I'm like, I didn't even know that existed, that part of my body. Like, there's just crazy things going on.
I agree.
So what kind of challenges have you experienced, and then how did that impact you then, being in business? Because I know for myself, like, the hardest thing is when I'm in a meeting with my team and I'm going, oh God, I can't remember that word. And it's the most simplistic word.
My God, yes.
Can't remember it, right? And I feel
yes,
dumb.
I feel very embarrassed about it, but that's the honest truth.
I feel like I'm getting dumber by the day, and it's just like, no, just reset yourself, stop beating yourself up. So yeah, tell me where the main things for you.
So yeah, that actually the time when I was really starting off with the Beba was also a time when I was probably in my late 40s. So that was also a time when perimenopause had set in.
Yeah.
Vice work at that point of time was very challenging, and I had to put in a lot of hours and thoughts and all my energy in it. So professionally, there was a lot of life was demanding. Vice, really, in my personal capacity, I felt that my body really was beginning to sort of feel different. It was wanting to slow down. It was not as energetic. It felt weird. There were times I had pangs of loneliness. There were times I felt low, mentally, emotionally. I felt confused in my head. I felt whether I was doing the right thing or not. There was a lot going on inside of me, not only physically but also mentally. There was brain fog. There was clutter. The feeling of lowness, and then obviously in your physicality is also you start gaining weight, hair. You lose hair. Hair is thinning. Hair loss happens. Weight starts sort of just plummeting in another direction. Your body doesn't feel energetic. There's hot flushes, there's cold flashes, and then there's too much going on, mentally and physically. So, and at the same time, life is demanding for you in all aspects. Professionally is demanding at that point of time. There's family, there's your husband, and then you have expectations socially, professionally, and your personal self demands things in another direction. So it was confusing, it was challenging, but it was also very transformative, I would say.
Yeah I think that's a lot of it. Like, what I found is that I went through a phase where I was just trying to self-sacrifice. I could feel all of, like what you were saying, I could
Yes.
feel all of what was going on.
Yes.
But I was like, no, I have to keep going. My team need me, my family need me.
Yes, yes.
I'm expanding this company. I just have to keep going until I couldn't anymore. And I wasn't able to give anything to anyone because
Agree.
I was just on zero. Like
Absolutely
I was empty.
agree. Yeah.
And that's when I said, right, do you know what? I have to step back. And for the first time, I stepped back into me and focusing on myself. Everybody is benefiting now from that because, and I always thought it was so selfish. But you know, I heard this podcast recently, just a snippet of this doctor. Oh my gosh, it just resonated so much. So she said that women have this we constantly, especially as mothers, but women in general, we give a lot, right?
Yes.
And we're always looking after everybody. And, it doesn't matter if we get back, we're happy to just keep give, even at our most exhaustive times. She said, but then menopause or perimenopause comes in and our estrogen drops. And the estrogen is the giver hormone.
Yes.
She said, so when that drops, all of a sudden, we don't want to give anymore. And we're not, we change. Because I said to my husband recently, I said, I've changed. And I'm not sure I'm happy that I've changed, but I've changed and I need to accept, because I'm not willing anymore to just sacrifice everything because my health, my emotion, my physical health was suffering so much because all I was doing was giving out everything. But it was just so relieving to hear this doctor say, that's normal because your estrogen has dropped down. You're not in that space where you're going to just we can still give, but we're first time, I think, in our lives, which is sad actually when you're getting to nearly 50. And that's the first time in your life when you realize I don't have to keep giving at a sacrifice of my own health and well-being.
I agree.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
I've been through a similar phase as well, where there comes a time in life whilst you really want to do it, but you're unable to do it, know. So it's not about, I want to be there for everyone, but I can do better or I can give better only when I feel grounded, happy in my own physical, mental being, right? If I'm not happy doing something, then even if I am present, I'm not going to be doing justice to it.
Yeah.
So there's a time in life, and I think menopause or perimenopause shows you that time, when you need to sort of really prioritize yourself, your energy, what you feel, what will bring you happiness, because only when you are happy, when you're grounded, when you're settled in your own physical, mental space, and when you're happy in that space, can you give happiness to somebody else as well, right?
I agree.
So when the pot is sort of half empty or fully empty, what does it have to give to anybody else, right? So I realized that it was time that I first need to nurture myself, make myself happy, do things that sort of fulfill me, my mental, emotional space, when and when I feel happy, content, healthy, can I give something to anybody else or be there for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So there is time when you need to sort of just stop giving, make yourself or bring yourself to be in a position that you are able to give, right? And for that, you first need to focus on yourself.
Yeah, and I think us being in the wellness industry, we're notoriously terrible for this because it is very much about constantly giving and forgetting about ourselves. And I think something like many things I want to do with all of this, but like one of the things I want to be able to do as well is be able to equip women who are younger. I'd love to talk to the 20-year-old Heidi and say, this is what is going to happen, but you know what, you can prepare yourself by not self-sacrificing yourself in your 20s and your 30s. I think that there is, like I say, I find it sad that we only get this realization halfway through our lives, that we that I'd love to be able to arm women and say, be prepared for this time, but don't get to burn out like we've done to then have to restart again. It's exciting because I think from my side, I found that I've got my exercise regime has completely changed. My food hasn't changed. I suppose what I have found is that I can't, I used to be able to quite easily starve myself, to lose a few pounds and starve myself. I can't do that now.
You can't do that,
I tried to kind of live off a few protein shakes a couple of weeks ago and went hardcore at Pilates Reformer and nearly collapsed at work because my body was like, no, I can't do this anymore. So I've realized that there's just some things my body's not willing to accept. But no, there's definitely a new gear, there's a new kind of path that I'm taking, which is quite exciting actually, once I've accepted it. So did you go through a phase, I went through very much a resentful phase of resenting, feeling like this, having to kind of work so hard still and not be able to give 1 minute for myself to think about what I need. Like people go on a retreat, and you'll reset. When do I have a time for a retreat? There's no time for me to sneak away for 2 weeks and reset.
100%.
There just wasn't. But did you go through a phase where there was any resentful, or was it just sadness that you had?
I initially did go through a phase when I did resent things. People had too many expectations of me,
Yeah,
both at home and work.
Yeah.
And, they'll feel that, maybe, I'm not able to give time to my workout because I'm lazy. I'm not organized at work. Maybe my family would sometimes feel that, my thoughts are not organized. I'm not working in a functional or an organized manner. And even at home, like I don't pay attention to my, maybe, my wellness. And in my heart, I think, I don't have the time. I'm trying to do everything possible in my capacity for everyone, and I understand everyone, whether it is my sons or my husband or my work. But what I am going through physically, like my body doesn't have the energy. I'm not really eating, but I am putting on weight. I feel low on energy. I feel that disconnect sometimes with everything. I just want that time and space for myself. So I would resent the whole situation, and that lack of understanding for what I was going. When I'd say, okay, no, I'm not like it's not like something that I'm just imagining in my head, but it's actually happening, that I am putting on weight, I am feeling low, I'm feeling, I'm not social anymore. There were things that, and my husband would not he just thinks that I've become an antisocial person. It was not that I had become antisocial, it was just my mental space it was not in my hands.
Yes.
Right? I just there were times I felt disconnected, I felt lonely, I felt low, and all I wanted was for my family to understand or for people to understand, but everyone doesn't, until they don't go through the journey themselves, they don't understand. But I have gone through the same, so I understand what you're saying, Heidi. And there's times when you want to be able to do everything, give time to everything, perfect, being a good wife, a mother, an entrepreneur. But then with time, I realized it was not perfection. It was just your intention and integration. You have a little bit integrate everything into your life and do things as your body allows. Take a pace that you are comfortable with. Finally, it's about yourself. So now I don't come under any pressure, or I stick to what I want to do, what my body says. And how much energy I have is what I'm going to be delivering, So I like to take each day as it comes and do things that make me happy. And finally, I try to even explain that, finally it's about my intention. As long as my intent is good, I think things will come my way,
Definitely.
So I just follow my intent, and I'm more intuitive also nowadays, and I just do things which I feel are right.
And this is what I want more women to do, is listen to themselves, listen to their bodies, and be okay with that. Be okay with saying, okay, I'm feeling this. And so I found a lot of my friends, women just don't talk about this. Like, I know they're talking about menopause and everything online now, but no one's really talking about the journey that they've gone on, because we all kind of hid away because we thought, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy, I'm just, I'm not there for anyone anymore. And, but a lot of my girlfriends are a little bit older than me, so they started to go through it before me. And what I found was that they completely disconnected from me and the world. And I was like, what's wrong? Like, they don't go out anymore, or we're not having the laugh anymore. Even if we're not living in the same place, there just wasn't that connect. And I was like, why are you hiding? I just don't feel myself, like I've just changed so much, and I just better if I just don't go out anymore. And alcohol doesn't really suit me, so I don't drink, and then I don't want to be in a social environment, then I don't feel comfortable in my clothes. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, so now this is the end. You've turned 50 and this is the end of life, when we should be, our kids are grown, we should be out there.
I know.
And then when I started to get all the symptoms, and I went through exactly the same, but I'm somebody that's a little bit different. I'm a little bit more conscious about talking about it, and I will go and dive into every area that I can to try and understand it, to try and make things better, not only for myself, but for other women as well, and men, actually, because men are struggling with us as well.
Yeah, of course.
And I think, like, I'm very blessed. My husband will happily talk about it, and we'll have very open conversations. But I also know there's times when he's like, Heidi, I have to breathe. Stop complaining that I'm breathing too
Yeah.
loud, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like
Yeah.
going, oh, goodness sake, stop chewing your food like
Yeah,
that. And he's
yeah.
like, I've chewed it like this for the last 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
So, there's a big challenge with that. But when I went on this journey, and of course, then you have to take HRT. Look, I'm not saying yay nor nay to this, because everybody goes on their own journey with anything when it comes to medication and supplements. But so far, I'm very, very set that I don't want to. I will always take the holistic route as much as I can, unless there is actual medical intervention that's needed. But what was like your thought process around what you would take, and what was your thought process around why you would take it? Like, what has helped you kind of get into balance more?
I think for me too, it's been just a more holistic way of life, like I have sort of wanted to sort of, as I'm getting, I won't say I'm getting older, I mean, but I am actually, but maybe menopause has sort of made me simplify things in my life, whether it is food or whether it is skincare or whether it is the social aspect of my life. Earlier, I had this FOMO, I wanted to be everywhere. I had this fear of missing out, whether it's parties or events or whatever. I want to be everywhere.
Yeah.
But now I just feel, no, I want to just spend more time with things that are more relevant to me, more meaningful for me, more soulful for me, whether it is spending time with my family or close friends. When I'm saying friends, it's not social friends, it's friends who really matter and make a difference to my life and to my happiness, or people I learn from. So those are the people I want to invest my time and energy on, since energies and time are both limited for me at this point of time. In terms of food, also I want to eat simple. I've turned quite vegetarian. I know it impacts my protein intake, and as I'm growing older, I think we need more protein as women, for our muscles, etc.
Definitely.
So I've started off with some plant-based proteins, to sort of supplement. But other than that, I look at yoga and I walk. So I keep life sort of slower, and I do things at my own pace. I do sometimes fall short on my calcium or my B12s, and those are the kind of supplements I take. But otherwise, I think I just sort of want to do things at my own pace and do things that make me happy, and not because I'm supposed to be socially relevant or present everywhere. Those are the things, I think they are the things of past for me. I've also turned more and more, I think I am turning more and more spiritual as I'm getting older. I think it sort of grounds me, gets me stronger, gives me patience. And my needs, I think, Heidi, my material pursuits are sort of reducing.
Changes, right?
Yeah, I'm getting more and more, like I said, simpler and more spiritual in my thoughts. So I think I do want to I'm already doing it, focus on a simpler living and higher thinking. And I'm happier in that journey now.
That's amazing. And it's lovely to hear a lady going on the journey and saying, I'm not going to load myself down, because I think last year I was rattling with the amount of supplements I was taking. Every time I saw something online, I added it. And I used to have this big bag, like half my suitcase when I was traveling was just supplements.
And then I sit with a lot of, expired supplements, and it's just so horrible, you feel sad. So now I don't want to now get tons and tons of supplements. I'd rather eat healthy, eat nutrition, eat what I enjoy eating, because then only then it's going to be more wholesome to us, right?
Absolutely.
Without thinking of calories and proteins, and like if you just eat a wholesome meal, I think it just carries a whole lot of goodness for you.
So much. And I think you were saying earlier that that it's about that the happiness, and wellness is happiness.
Yes.
And if we can create that happiness, which is, I think, where in perimenopause, menopause, that's what it's a struggle, because our brains are not the same, things are changing, so that emotional imbalance is so much there as much as the physical. And it's finding, like you say, those ways to make you happy, and whether that's spirituality, whether that's clean eating, spending time with your family. I'm the same. I've really I'm not just going to, my daughter says, you're very antisocial these days. I'm like, I'm not. I'm just deciding
oh my God,
who I'm going to give my energy to.
100%. I'm really in the same boat as you. I really agree to that.
I'm not going to waste my time anymore unnecessarily, because I don't have the energy to give it.
Absolutely.
But I think their happiness is the most important part. And I think we get caught up. absolutely got caught up in so much media hype about do this, do that. And even I'm still getting certain doctors that I'm meeting trying to scare me into powerlifting and HRT. And I have gone through, oh my gosh, like maybe I'm not doing the right exercise. My body's good. I'm really doing the Pilates reformer, which is brilliant for me. And that works for me.
100%.
So, if we were all powerlifting, come on. So my next question then is going to this. So this is, I didn't go down the rabbit hole of having a debate with her because I don't think it would have gone well. But like my thought process is like our mothers and grandmothers, right? I don't think suffered as bad as us, did they? Like, what's the difference? I know what the theory of my Ayurvedic doctor, but what do you think is that? Why is it different?
So I think during their times, um, they just lived a more holistic life wherein things were simpler,
Yeah.
food was simpler, physical activity was lots more, right? I mean, they did so much more with their own hands, right?
It's true.
There was no concept of sort of machines and tools doing things for them. They did everything themselves. Even food was cleaner, more holistic, more fresh, more local.
Yeah.
So all of that kept them, I guess, way more grounded, healthier, stronger. That obviously environment was not so polluted, whether it is in terms of pollution, means atmospheric pollution, or is in terms of all your technology at home.
Yeah,
There was it was all like very, very wholesome, very, very grounded, and a cleaner way of life. I remember even when I was growing up, Heidi, like I mentioned, I grew up with my grandparents. Even when I was growing up, I mean, obviously there was no TV, etc. We played around in our garden, making, like putting our foot into the sand and making, little houses with, the sand houses on your feet. Those were the kind of games we played, like with stones or pebbles or with sand and stuff. So it was just more rooting, more grounding, cleaner, So I think that's the life our predecessors have also led, right? I mean, like whether it was my grandmother or yours or my mom or yours. I mean, they've just led cleaner, simpler, fresher lives, right?
Yeah.
And for us, everything is, there's so much packaged food and there's so much of TV or mobile phones, and like half of the time I'm like struggling with cervical issues now, right? All of this is coming with like so much technology, so much clutter going around in our lives now,
So true.
which was not there earlier.
Wasn't there? And I think you're right when it comes to like physical activity.
Yeah.
Not exercise, but that was another thing. I was listening to this podcast, and this guy had gone into this village, and all these, all the workers are there, and they're really fit and healthy. They live to a really good age, and he was like, how many times do you go to the gym?
They don't
Go
need
to the gym. I don't need to go to the gym. Like, I'm up every morning, I'm out in the fields, I'm doing this. We forget that we're so inactive now. We've had to create gyms and fitness systems,
of course,
to move our bodies because we don't move them anymore.
Yes.
And I think that is a huge problem just in general with us, the clean eating 100%. But I think as well, you hit the nail on the head when you were saying like you grew up with your grandparents.
Yeah.
A lot of the families would have the children and the grandchildren in the home, so the home was constantly active. There was always like youngsters, like that younger generation, which I think keeps you young. Like when I have kids around me, I get childlike myself. Like there's just that fun element that I think that we miss a lot. We just go into this adult world and it becomes very serious and boring.
Absolutely, I agree.
We need to have more childlike fun, I think. Yeah, definitely.
And I think those days were different because earlier, probably when we grew up in a more sort of, an extended family kind of a thing, having grandchildren, etc. around, even kept the grandparents younger, mentally more active, agile,
Yeah,
and nowadays we are obviously in a nuclear setup and kids also busy, and obviously, we're all juggling multiple roles and struggling with, like a very busy, hectic, social, professional life, there's those multiple things. And I think during back then, things were simple, obviously for them it was, you work 9 to 5 and then as family, and now it's not that work doesn't end, you'd be working even at 10 p.m. at night, because that doesn't stop. So I guess the life is just so different now, Heidi, right? And so hence we need to sort of take that conscious decision to bring ourselves back to, okay, that you need to just pause, just hold back, just do as much as you should or you need to, and then hold back yourself and give time to yourself.
Yeah. Pause is so important.
Yeah,
And
pausing is very important.
there's no pause.
Yeah,
There's
there
no there's no
Yeah,
reset.
yeah.
What words of inspiration would you give to women of our age, but any women, entrepreneurial women that are setting up their companies, running their companies? Like what would you say, what words of wisdom would you give them that you've really learned from this journey that if you look back, you would do it different?
Okay, so I think there would be a couple of things. There's been a lot of learning along the journey.
Yeah.
I would tell them that number one, do things at your own pace. Life is not running. Do things that give you happiness internally, and only when you feel happy internally and it justifies with your heart and soul and your own ethics, will you be able to create something beautiful externally.
Yeah.
I would also tell them that nothing comes easy in life. Success or growth is not so simple. It really comes with a lot of sacrifices, and you should be prepared for that.
Yeah.
No sacrifice, no growth. There will be times you'll have to sacrifice your social life, your anything else that is important to you, because there will be a time when your work will demand your focus and all your attention.
Yeah.
And you will find yourself sometimes treading that journey alone. Sometimes there would be a lot of time, not sometimes, there would be a lot of time when you will feel lonely.
Yeah.
You'll feel disconnected, when there would be times you could face people letting you down. But you should, I think, just be grounded, focused, and just focus on what you set out for, and success will one day definitely be yours. For some it comes a little slower than the rest, but if your intent is right and you work honestly, and you are really honest with your intent, and you go for the kill, one day success will be yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I say is that we need passion.
Yeah.
Like you need to be passionate about what you're doing,
100%,
because
obviously.
someone said recently that no one gets burnout if they love what they're doing.
Yes.
There's no such thing as
I
burnout.
agree. And I experience that every day of my life. I'm 53 today, and I think there are times that I go in the morning and I come back. There are times I get late at work, right? And when I come back as well, my husband, there are times my husband and son are back before me, and then they'll tell me, "Don't you get tired?" And I'm like, I enjoy what I'm doing so much.
Yeah.
I don't have time to think. I really I'm really enjoying every minute of my day.
Yeah.
So there are times when it will be physically stressful, and you're just standing through the day, and work could be stressful, but more or less it's my heart. So I really don't feel tired. Like you said, I'm so passionate about it, and when you are passionate about something, it's just fun doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And you enjoy doing it more, and you do it with all your heart also, because you're so passionate towards
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
And that's why it's so successful. That's why Bear Bar is so successful. Clean Beauty is so successful. It's a genuine. There's just such a genuine approach to it. Like
It's my heart.
Yeah, it really
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
And this is why, like when we've looked at different brand partners, we have a couple of brand partners, and the connection with them is just on a different level. And the biggest thing is that there's just this heart passion.
Yeah.
And immediately I can connect. I don't want corporate people.
Yeah.
I don't want people that are just, I want people that are genuine, love what they do, and that there's that, that synergy with that connection, and it all works. But you're so right. I think people expect success to come too fast, and
It doesn't happen.
the long term, you have short term success, but
Yeah.
the long term success takes a long time to build.
Yes.
And you're going to fall so many times.
Yeah.
And you've got to have that resilience to stand back up.
Yes.
And going through all of these changes in life and dealing with that, I think that us women that are going through that are the strongest out there, because we're not only going through the challenges in that, but we're also going through physical and emotional challenges.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't keep it all together, but most of the time,
Yes.
maybe, behind closed door, we might have a couple of
Absolutely.
meltdowns. But in general, there's
So yeah. entrepreneurship does teach you a lot.
A
It
lot.
teaches you humility, most importantly,
Yeah.
because like you said, things will not always be going your way. Success is not going
Yeah.
to be easy. It does teach you, that you fall back, but you stand up again the next day and go back again. Things are not
Yeah.
going to be going as planned. Things may fall against you. People may let you down. Your partners, may be expecting something has not gone the right way, but perseverance, persistence,
Yeah.
honesty, will get you there one day. And most importantly, with all of these failures, life is teaching you humility.
Yes.
It is teaching you agility. It is teaching you, resilience, to stand up and stand up again, stand up with grace. Do what is right again, and one day you will be there. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So, final words, the art of graceful change. What's next? What's next for you?
I think for me, I want to work with things that are more intentional, more conscious. I want to do projects that bring me happiness, that sort of resonate with the core, with my heart. So I want to do more meaningful projects. I want to do things that are more intentional uh, and honest. I want to sort of do things which bring me, a name where I sort of stand recognition for honesty, for being committed, towards cleaner beauty, for cleaner ingredients, and obviously I want to do stuff that sort of brings me and my core happiness.
Yeah.
I don't want to do things just for the heck of doing. I want to do things at my own pace. I want to grow at my own pace, and I want, obviously, for the brand to sort of stand for what it's set out for, which is not deviating from a ethos, of clean, simpler living. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for today. I really enjoyed our
Thank
chat.
you so much, Heidi, for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So the 4th to the 8th of June this year is the Art of Graceful Change, our second phase of our menopause retreats. And that's going to be in the beautiful Eau Blue experience, Isla Fushi in the Maldives. It's going to be grounding. It's going to be getting us ladies together, resetting. We're going to look at our beautiful nutrition, our exercise, and just setting our intentions and getting ourselves back on track. So looking forward to seeing you there.